Hey, you did it. You found it. You found the podcast version of the show. It's Writer Radio. Here are the things you need to know. We stream live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time at writerradio.com. 2, you can find every episode on YouTube, youtube.com/@writerradio. We're on Spotify, same name, Writer Radio. We are on Twitter or X @BradWriter, BradRiter. We're on Instagram @Writer Radio. There's a group now, Writer Radio Facebook group. Go there, find that, follow that, like it, whatever you have to do. We've got a phone number. You can send texts, leave voicemail, 716-288-5246. Email, bradwriter@gmail.com. You don't need to memorize this. It can all be found at writerradio.com. That's the hub. But those are the places. Thanks for listening. Please tell a friend. Please share. That's how we grow. Glad to have you on board to the podcast version of Writer Radio. The good news is that I am well rested. Take that. That's something. That's positive. +1 for Writer Radio. Episode 181. It's October 6th, 2025. Coming at you live from Buffalo, New York. All right. Represented by Brian Janik at The Financial Guys. Go to thefinancialguys.com to check out the services provided by 20-plus year independent insurance broker Brian Janik, proud sponsor of Writer Radio. All right, here's the deal. I am well rested. Here's why. Bills play a night game, and they win, and I'm up forever. I can't watch enough highlights, see as many interviews as possible. I want various takes. I want national takes. I'm staying up. I'm like, hey, is that podcast up that they record at night? Is that up yet? Is that one up? Can we do that? Can I hear what they said about the Bills being 5-0? And when the Bills lose to the Patriots at home at night, after briefly spending, from 4 o'clock until, we'll call it 11 o'clock, but it was later than that, 11:30, 4 o'clock to 11:30, as the only undefeated team in the league. That felt awesome. I like that part. My favorite part of the day was when the Broncos, and I've taught my kids this, if the AFC is playing the NFC, we root for the NFC. That's it. Doesn't matter who it is. I don't care how you feel about the Eagles. I don't care how you feel about the Cowboys. I don't care how you feel about the Niners. You're rooting for those teams if they're playing against AFC teams. But I decided in the moment to be selfish. And I said, you know what? We are going to root for the Broncos to finish this thing out. And they did. And they beat the Eagles. And that made the Bills the only undefeated team. And that was happiness. That was happiness for several hours till kickoff. And then things weren't going well, and that first half was unbearable. And I'm going to get into all of it, I promise. We've got 2 hours to do this. We're going to cover it from the Bills end, obviously, with me and with Scott Wilson, who joins us every Monday and Friday. We'll hit on, obviously, what went on in the Bills game, what went on with the UB Bulls over the weekend. That one was better, more positive. We're going to do that. We're also going to cover this from a Patriots perspective because I don't know what the purpose of losing a Week 5 game to New England to fall from the ranks of the unbeaten. I don't know what the purpose of that would be if we didn't bring on my buddy Mike O'Brien from Boston to make fun of us. He was texting me last night. Here's I'll probably read a lot of text messages today because it sums up like what was going on in real time during the game. But yeah, Mike's text last night at 11:40 p.m. The Bills had a good run. I'm sorry they couldn't get a Super Bowl out of it. Get to the back of the line. Mike's been talking trash the entire time I've known him. I didn't know him before Tom Brady. So it was just, he's been laughing. He has treated the Bills. He did treat the Bills. He knows. He's kidding now. He's a comedian. He did treat the Bills for several years the way that I always kind of treated I guess I'll say the Patriots during the 90s. I was like, they're fine. I'm not mad at them. What's there to be mad about? The Bills are going to take care of them. They're not going to get in the way ever. And the Bills will do their thing. Now, ultimately, the Bills never did win a Super Bowl, but it was never at all because of the Patriots. The Bills missed the playoffs for 20 years, mostly because of the Patriots. So that was hurtful, Mike. I didn't enjoy it. But currently, I still feel as though the Bills are the dominant team certainly in the East, also in the AFC, and on their way to years of greatness, continued greatness. I still feel all that. But on a day like today, I think we check in with Mike in Boston because he will say funny, insulting things. And then we can talk about how the UB Bulls are going to UMass because he's a fan of UMass too. Oh, and the Red Sox are out of the playoffs. So there's lots of reasons. And we only have Mike for like 10 minutes. But he's calling in sometime around 10:30. So we'll be ready for Mike to call at any point and jump in before he gives his duck boat tour. That's what he does. He gives duck boat tours in Boston. Duck boat tour by day, stand-up comic by night. Living the dream is Mike O'Brien. And he's got this other identity also as a man on the street. He just pops up anytime there's a news story on Boston television. There's like a 50% chance Mike is in it. He just walks around the city of Boston looking for the news and then pops himself into the conversation. And he's done it a million times. And it's very funny. So Mike will join us. The reason I'm well rested is that when the Bills lose, I turn off the TV and go to bed. I mean, like last night. If they had won, I'd be up all night. Not all night, but a couple hours just either rewatching the game. I'm not rewatching that game. Or seeking out coach interviews. You know, the coach post-game press conference. It's not good enough to hear. McDermott's post-game press conferences are boring always. He doesn't say anything. It's fine. I don't mind it. I'm just saying it's like certainly not something you need to tune in for. Early in McDermott's career, right after the Bills game, I would always go for a ride so I could listen. You know, I'm like, all right, where do you need me to go? Go to the store? Go pick up a gallon of milk? All right, I'll be back in half an hour after I listen to post-game stuff on the radio. I don't do that anymore because nothing really happens in the post-game. But national TV, that's when it gets fun. When all of a sudden Scott Van Pelt is interviewing Josh Allen and whoever, Keon Coleman, whoever it might be. I do that. I didn't do that this time. I didn't read anything. I did not. And then when I got up this morning, I didn't read. I've read nothing. I don't know what anybody thinks about the game aside from people who live in my house, which is me, my wife, my 3 kids, 2 of whom care about football. So I know what they think. And then anybody who was texting with me during the game. That's it. But I got up this morning and I didn't read anything. The only thing I have open on my screen, I didn't want to even open like ESPN.com because I didn't want any accidental opinions leaking into my brain before speaking about this game. It's been so long since I've done a daily show. It had been so long. And I was so excited, and I've told this story 1,000 times, but episode 1 of Writer Radio, this is 181. So 180 episodes ago, that was going to be me going on the air for the first time in 14 years for a daily show and talking about the Bills beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game and moving on to the Super Bowl. In the first 2 weeks of Writer Radio, we're going to be that. And they were not because the Bills lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So then, we got over it. And then there was a whole offseason of saying, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it's been more than fine. It's been perfect. I don't love everything out of the defense, of course. There are concerns. But how concerned can you be at 4-0? How much can you say the sky is falling at 4-0? Well, 4-1, now it's time to go nuts, right? No, it's not that. I don't know how much officiating is being talked about. This is really the main reason that I didn't want to listen to anybody else, because I don't want to mimic anything anybody's saying. I don't want it to seem like I'm mimicking anything anybody's saying. I came away from that first half thinking this is the most I've ever wondered if a referee had money on a game. Like, I don't think he did. But I'm not sure he didn't. The number of penalties that were just fictional or never replayed or I didn't see or just came at the exact convenient time to mess up a drive was insane. Now, I didn't finish saying this. This is what I do. I start sentences, I don't finish them. The one thing I have open on my screen is they call it a game book, but it's the official NFL game summary. This is the way that I've grown accustomed to taking in NFL statistics. It's a form that has been the same for as long as, from when I started in radio, nothing has changed about the NFL game summary. I struggle with the new, you go to whatever you use to look at a box score, whether it's ESPN or Yahoo or CBS Sports, NFL.com, any of those. They keep changing formats on me, so I don't know where to look for stuff. The way that I take in information, this NFL game summary is perfect. So I've got the thing. It tells you it started at 8:23 p.m. It was 66 degrees. The humidity was 58%. The wind was 3 miles an hour. None of that is anything. There was no weather. Weather didn't matter. It was an indoor game, right? It's about how I would set up. If I had a dome, I'd be like, yeah, I want it to be 66 degrees, 58% humidity. We wouldn't have the 3 mile an hour wind, but maybe we would. Maybe there would be some kind of breeze somehow. They basically played an indoor game that I think Sean Hockley ruined. He ruined the first hour and a half of the night. And I don't even mean ruined it for the Bills. I mean ruined it for the viewer. If that's not my team playing, I would have been out on that game real early once it became apparent that there was not going to be any flow to it whatsoever. And the Bills are all about flow and attitude and swagger and momentum and all that stuff feeding off the crowd. And just none of that could get going. It's like you hit a construction zone. All right. Speed limit 65. I can reasonably go 74. This is cool. And now we're approaching Pennsylvania. And now we've got grooved pavement for the next 74 miles. That was the game. That was the first half of the game. 6-3. The Bills can't stop anybody, and they can't be stopped. So they're doing something wrong. If that's the game, there's something wrong with the game. A 6-3, and they're trailing, which, whatever. 6-3 either way doesn't matter to me. As it turns out, the 3 points are the difference, but I'm okay with that. The score part. But doesn't that tell you that something's wrong with the game? Because it wasn't even, the Bills seem off. It was, all right, that play was cool. Oh, it's coming back. Oh, that play was good. Nope, that doesn't count. Ooh, good defensive stat. Nope. It lined up incorrectly. I know there's not illegal formation on defense, but you understand the point I'm trying to make here. Every time it's like, all right, here we go. Nope, stop. There we go, stop. And it was just yuck. It was a yuck broadcast. No fault of Tirico and Collinsworth. Tirico was awesome. Multiple texts about that guy that got the football after Samuel scored and just sprinted up to the tunnel. One quick takeaway on that. Can you believe how many stairs it takes to get from the front row to the tunnel? That guy was running up the stairs forever. I hope he's okay. I also am curious what he was up to. As was Mike Tirico. Shades of that Coldplay concert at MSG. He was like, I cannot be on television right now. I'm taking my football. I'm getting out of here. I don't know what the guy was doing. That was fun. So it wasn't Tirico's fault. It wasn't Collinsworth's fault. You know, a lot of people don't like him. I think he's awesome. I think it's probably my favorite broadcast crew. I like Nance and Romo too. There are a few that are really good, but I'm never not happy to remember, hey, I get to hang out with Tirico and Collinsworth for the next 3.5 hours. That's always good. And they were excellent. But the game was not excellent. And the number I'm looking for here is how many penalties were called on the Bills in the first half, not how many were accepted. Because ultimately, you look at penalty yards after the game, and it's fine. It's not, because I don't need 19 penalties called, not even counting the ones that were declined. But the Bills were called for 11 penalties, 90 yards, and the Pats were called for 8 penalties, 93 yards. So it ends up being a wash. But in a game, you want good weather when you're the better team. And you want bad weather when you're the worst team because you want something to level the playing field. And the weather was perfect, so that's good Bills. Check mark on the side of the Bills. Good weather. But what you don't want is just a bunch of landmines thrown around the field, which is essentially what these penalties were. These penalty flags are landmines that just destroyed the flow of the game. And that's advantage for the lesser team. Now, when I say lesser team, I absolutely mean it. I think it's a pretty large disparity between the two. But I also think that for sure, the second best team in the East is the Patriots. So while we've had, 2-3 years of not really thinking at all about the teams in the division, and the Bills have won 5 consecutive AFC East, it is time to, the Jets are a disaster, and the Dolphins are a disaster, and the Patriots are on the rise. I felt it watching Drake May last year. This might be, it wasn't like, oh no, but I'm going to pay attention to that. That seems like something. And then when Mayo's out and Vrabel's in as the head coach, we're like, uh-oh. Because I've watched what Vrabel can do with teams that are less talented than their opponent. He's good at it. How much of it is working under and learning from Belichick, playing for him and being in that circle? I don't know. He's got it. It's like, I feel like he's got all the Dan Campbell stuff minus the crazy. And Campbell gets complimented a lot. But I think Vrabel is, I would take him. If I needed a new head coach, I would absolutely sign up for that guy. So having him sign up in the division, it's not great. And then add Drake May to it, and there's an assumed level of competence that's going to be there, and that's what you've got. But I spent the majority of yesterday's game trying to calm people down in my house and saying this feels like, and it still does feel like, any number of games that took place between the time that Brady really arrived in New England and the time that he went away, or the time that Josh got here. Let's put it that way. There were so many games during that era where it felt like today's our day. I know we never beat the Patriots, but today's our day, Buffalo. We've got this. And it would be the Bills kind of doing their thing, but never quite pulling away as much as you'd like them to. And then at the end of the day, something happens. There's a fluky thing. There's one call we don't like. Kick goes through. Time runs out. Bills just lost. I thought that was our day. It wasn't our day. McCalvin fumbles. Opening day. Whatever it was. It felt like one of those games. But the good news is, currently, we're on the positive side of that. So when it all shakes out and eventually the better team wins, that's good for us now. That was bad for us then, because the Patriots were a better team, but the Bills were a pretty good team that could hang with them on several occasions over the course of almost 20 years. But we had a bunch of those games where it felt like today's the day, and then it just wasn't. And I said, you know what? This is just one of those games. It's in reverse. Couple fluky things. Bills turned the ball over once in 4 games and then 3 times in 1 game. It's just, you gotta fight through it. Still got Josh Allen. He's still supremely confident. Still got a ton of weapons on offense. The whole everybody eats thing. There's a lot there to like. It'll be fine. And then it just wasn't fine. It just wasn't fine. So 4-1, still a good record. 4-1. I haven't opened anything for fear of reading what other people are saying about this thing. So all I've got is a box score. Literally just a printed, like the thing that they hand out in the locker room. The game ends, and you can go grab this thing if you're covering the game. That's what I have. No opinions. None are desired. I don't want them. Because I want to live in my own world and processing the first loss of the season for the Bills. And I didn't come away screaming that anything needs to change. I am mostly frustrated with the flow of the game that I think prevented the Bills from getting going. And I don't know, 2 of those penalties I thought were legit. The Milano hit on May was bad. Don't do that. No one do that. It was the same as the hit on Cook that happened. I am a little curious to know if he was knocked out of the game for a while or if that was just a decision that it was time for Ray Davis. But Cook was in on that play. And also, I will say, I didn't think that play was as dirty as it looked. It absolutely has to be called a penalty, and it was. But I think from the player's perspective, the guy that was running in and made the late hit, it looked like Cook might not have been down and might have been still trying to make something happen. and might, like, maybe his knee hadn't quite hit, and it almost looked like he was trying to pitch it back to Allen at that point. Like, it was, and then boom, he got destroyed. So it's for sure a penalty, but I didn't think it was a. I understand the mentality of the player who did it, and you could see him on the sideline. I don't know what do you want from me. That happens a lot on late hits, so I'm not mad at him. It was fine. It was correctly called a penalty, but I guess that's kind of, it makes up for the Milano one, but it doesn't. The flow of the game. The Bills are supposed to go out there and be up 14-3. It's early second quarter. It's 14-3. You're comfortable, and now you got your complete. You just have your way with them because you can do anything you want on offense, and you're starting to force them with a young quarterback to be pass only, and they never got there, and they didn't get there because the flow of the game was all messed up. So this is not an excuse. They're 4-1. They've won 80% of their games, and the one that they lost by 3. And as it has been the case since about 2020, if you're going to beat the Bills, aside from, seriously, there are 2 games in the last 5 years where the Bills just got whooped, in my recollection, like top of my head. I haven't looked this up because I'm not looking at anything. I'm just talking, except for the box score. But the Ravens game last year, I guess you could say the Houston game last year too. So Ravens and Houston last year, although no, Houston, they were close. They were fine. Ravens game last year, they got their butts kicked, and the Bengals playoff game 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever that was. Those are the 2 times since Josh has become Josh, which we'll say is 2020, right? Third year is when it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be a thing now. There were flashes early, but 2020 through now, you've got the best or one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They've been whooped twice. And every other time this team loses a football game, it's because 1,000 little things didn't go their way. Flip any one of them and it's going to be fine. And then they lose by a point or 2 points or 3 points for 5 years. So these games happen. It'll be all right. Mike O'Brien's here to make fun of us. That's the whole point. What is the point of losing to the Patriots if Mike's not here to laugh about it? What's up, Mike O'Brien in Boston?
Let's go, Buffalo.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's a good song.
Hey, you guys had a nice run there. It was really nice to, you guys, the Bills and the Mariners, they're like pretzels. No one hates pretzels. Everyone's just like, I like pretzels. Yeah, they're fine, and like, both, who hates the Mariners? Who hates the Bills? No one. You guys, if you guys win the Super Bowl, everyone's going to be like, good for you guys. Way to go. That's so nice. And I'm just like, it just sucks that you guys had your window and you blew it. And that window was closed and it's over.
I want to let you keep going with this for a while, but I also want to ask you how you feel about your team. So we were going to have you on this. We were going to have you on this week anyway. To be clear, if the Bills did what I thought they would do, what I think they should have done, what I think they'll do next time, you still would have been here to take your medicine. So this is not just you coming in to taunt, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. The Sox getting knocked out of the playoffs. We got UB at UMass, but obviously Bills Patriots is first and foremost. Where are you on your team? Where are you on Drake May? Because I look at him. I'm going to give you my honest assessment right now. The Bills are the best team in the AFC. They're probably the best team in football. They're definitely the best team in the AFC East, but I think the Patriots are definitely the second best team in the AFC East, which is not something that I could say for the past, 4 years or so, as the Bills have just been having their way with the division. The Patriots are clearly the ones to watch, because for like 3 years, there hasn't even been a team to watch in the division. Would you agree with that?
First of all, when you say Patriots, you're supposed to refer to them as the proper title of 2026 Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. If you could just
I'm not gonna,
give them a proper title.
I'm not going to do that.
No, the Patriots, what I just heard you say, they lose the same way the Bills lose. They turn the ball over. They had a billion penalties. Like, both teams were like, who wants to lose this game yesterday? And that's I went to that Steelers game, and it was like, the Patriots should have beaten the Steelers by 3 touchdowns, and they lost. And it was just like, that's how they do it. Stevenson, who I love, but the guy fumbles every game. Every game.
Yeah,
he
it's
fumbles.
weird.
And sometimes multiple times. And it's just like, you can't have him. I mean, he fumbled in the end zone, going in the end zone against the Steelers. And it's just, I'm happy that I feel like they turned it around. I feel like they're going to be fine. I feel like with a couple additions. Their line gets a little bit better, that they're going to be, back to being a playoff team, hopefully AFC championship team. But it's just where you're in that, like, who knows? They're playing the Saints this week, so everyone's going to be like, they're going to kill the Saints. And then they're going to, be 2 games over 500. Maybe who are the Bills playing this week?
Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons are pesky. Who knows? Like they could lose to the Falcons, and then all of a sudden they're tied, and then everyone's just queuing the duck boats, and we're ready to go here again in Boston. Who knows? I don't know, but I'm happy. I'm excited, but at the same time, they could not make the playoffs, and I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, but during the conversation, they're back to relevance, and it's about May, and it's about Vrabel. To me, I mean, to go from Mayo to Vrabel, that's night and day with the way your organization is run. If I had an opening, that's who I would try to find is Vrabel. So I would think that's got to make everybody feel pretty good.
As much as I love my BFF, Jonathan Kraft, who I'm close personal friends with, I don't understand why the whole Mayo thing happened. I understand his dad, is just like, this is what we're doing, and you can't talk the guy out of it. But it's just like, Vrabel was there last year, almost lost him. He could have been the head coach of the Jets. He could have been the head coach anywhere. And luckily, he didn't sign anywhere, and he just became the Patriots coach. And that was like the guy that you needed for this job, and just to whip everyone in shape. And I mean, I'd say stop the penalties, but I think there's more penalties this year than there were last year at this point. But it's just, I don't understand what they're doing last year, hiring Mayo in the first place. I understand, like, maybe keeping him around, doing a defensive coordinator thing or something. I don't know. But giving him the head coaching job and everything just completely going off the rails last year. And then this year, like, it just seems like there's more. They know what they're doing. They just know what they're doing. Even though I don't know what I'm watching because I'm dumb.
Yeah.
They seem like they know what they're doing,
Yep. Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't understand why the whole Mayo experiment thing happened in the first place, but it worked out, so who cares?
How's your honeymoon with Diggs? It seemed like, I mean, obviously it went really well last night. Is everyone in love with Stephon Diggs and wondering how on earth you wound up with him? Because, I mean, we've seen this a couple times now.
Apparently everyone's in love with Diggs because he keeps knocking everyone up. So, I mean, what did he got? 2 in the past month? Good for him, man. Everyone loves Stephon Diggs. That's a good number right there. One really rich, famous one, and one rando. Good for him.
I didn't even know about the rando. I know about Cardi B.
There's supposedly Cardi B did some Instagram, TikTok video about how there might be some other baby mama, and she doesn't care because that's her man, and he can, like, knock up whoever he wants. It was quite the video. You should look it up.
Wow, no, we'll find that.
Yeah, but Diggs is just like what the Red Sox do, what the Patriots have done for years. Is like, oh, you failed a bunch of drug tests, come over here, and if you don't work out, you'll leave. If you blew your knee out, hey, we'll sign you to a deal, but if you don't come back, we'll just let you go. Like, they do that all the time. They just buy, it's like they do $10 18 parlays, and like one of these will hit sooner or later, right? And so, like, they do that. They've been doing that since early 2000s with players. They've just been buying lottery tickets on guys coming off of injuries. I mean, great example, Aaron Hernandez dropping the 3rd round. Like, what's the worst going to happen? He's going to kill some people? That's not going to happen. Like, whatever. The guy smoked some weed and whatever. May or may not have shot some people in college. They didn't hit him. They're fine. So, like, what are you going to do? Why not just go for it? Sure, why not? Like, and it worked, and who knows? I was explaining to my lady friend last night with Diggs about how she said, why did the Bills let him go? And I go, because he's a diva receiver and demands the ball. And she's like, well, he doesn't seem like that at all. I go, yeah, because he's on a 1-year deal. He's coming off a knee injury. He needs to be on his best behavior. And the Patriots or any team after this year should never sign him to a long-term deal, because the second he gets a long-term deal, he's going to give me the damn ball and go all Terrell Owens. And then you're like, I can't deal with this guy. Get out here.
He's a perfect short-term relationship. As Cardi B will learn. And so whatever. We've seen it. He was great in Minnesota, and then he wasn't. Then he was great in Buffalo. He made Josh Allen. He's the biggest reason that Josh Allen took this step. I mean, he was going to do it anyway. He'd get there. He's got it in him. But as far as, like, from a national perspective, Josh Allen became a star when Diggs arrived. And then as soon as Josh's star surpassed Diggs, that's when he wasn't happy anymore. That's the diva part of it. So then it was time for him to go. And then it was cool in Houston for 5 minutes, and then he was hurt, and it's great in New England right now. And I hated what he was able to do against the Bills yesterday. But a lot of that had to do with Drake May keeping things alive. And can I say he looks like mini early Josh? Because that's the stuff that he's doing. It doesn't mean that he's going to get there.
But
yeah, I mean that's what he looks like, and by all accounts, good dude. People like him. I mean, that's a big part of Josh too, is that people flock to him.
Hey,
and
he loves Jesus.
That.
Did you know this? He loves Jesus. Drake May, huge Jesus guy. Can't start any sentence without thanking the Lord and Savior. Like, when someone does it, you're like, good for you, whatever. And then after a while, you're like, Drake, we got it.
Yeah,
your Lord and Savior, we got it. Like every single sentence, it's like, hey man, I understand what you're doing, but okay, we got it. We understand.
Luckily, the quarterback isn't like that in Buffalo, but the franchise is it's a faith-based football team, which is the one.
Hey, that's great.
Which is the one thing I don't love about it. But it's when they sign, they just come up with some linebacker you've never heard of. Somebody gets hurt, somebody tweaks something, and they add a linebacker to the practice squad, and then you just open up his bio, and it's like, I love Jesus. That's always first, and then also I probably played for the Panthers at some point too. That's
the Bruins for a while. They're starting to get away with it. They're like, oh, you're from Eastern Massachusetts, we'll sign you. Yeah. And their whole first thing was like, did you know they're from Charlestown? Did you know they're from that's great. Are they good? I don't care. It's just like, we got it. That's great. Yeah.
Maybe the Red Sox should have done something like that when bringing in people from Walpole with Cam Slittler.
No crap. Unbelievable.
Dude,
Unbelievable.
Can you even be mad at that game? I mean, that was such an impressive performance. I'm there rooting for the Red Sox too, but I was just enamored with watching this kid throw, and I can't wait to watch him pitch again.
The guy was amazing, and I liked the guy. I liked what's his name for the Red Sox there too. He was fine. What happened all year is they do what the Patriots and Bills do, is all of a sudden they're just like, hey, let's throw the ball all over the place. Let's not catch balls.
Yep.
Let's strike out while going after 102-mile-an-hour fastball at our chin. They just do stuff where you're like, you guys are the dumbest. They're the dumbest team ever. They literally ran out of pitchers. How do you run out of pitchers? They just had no more pitchers when they could have. Oh, this is actually a funny story. I was at the game after. I'm dropping the guy's name who killed it against the Pirates. No. The other one, the rookie. Big dude, throws gas.
I'm not going to get
to it. Yeah, but I can't think of his name. But we're at Game On, and before the Red Sox game, and watching the Ohio State-Texas game, and this guy just taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, what do you think of Peyton Tolley? That's the guy.
There he is.
And I was just like, yeah, he's great. He's great. He just killed it, and he was throwing gas, and he had personality, and I loved him. I only heard his name a month ago when they were going to trade him for the guy from the Twins, and I was like, trade him. Who cares? He's a minor leaguer. Just get the guy that you need now. And then I want to keep him. And he goes, oh, well, I'm his principal. That's his dad. That's his mom. They're going to everyone in the restaurant saying they're Toley's family. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. But, they have some good young guys, but they just run out of – after the ownership here in the Red Sox now, hey, we won 4 times, which is, I guess I would have the same type of thing. Let's make some money now. And they're just not spending money, and they're not getting players. And I'm all for, I want to get players and I want to spend money, but I want to have the right players. Don't be signing Devers and don't be signing Pablo Sandoval and all these guys that just because you're like, well, we spent a bunch of money. It's like, well, make sure it's the right guy. Don't just give money to people. I mean, I'm still upset. They had Devers, Bogarts, and Betts, and they have a backup catcher to show for it. And you're just like, what is that? That's ridiculous.
All right, Mike, I know you got to go.
We got the battle. We got the Battle of Amherst too coming up.
Yeah,
right? Buffalo and Amherst.
All right, if you've got time for this, then let's
real quick, because I haven't watched it down of UMass this year. But how's Buffalo? What is Buffalo's record?
We're 3-3, and the last 4 games all could have gone either way. Every one of them has come down to the last minute, and they've won 2 of them and lost 2 of them. The good news is the 2 that they've won have been conference games, so they're unbeaten in conference. They're at 2-0. They're at the top of the MAC, and that's really all that matters. But our game Saturday night, UB hit a 50-yard field goal to tie it at the buzzer. It went to overtime. We scored in overtime. They scored. We scored 7 in overtime. They scored, went for 2, fumbled. That's how the Bulls won. So it's like that's what it's been like every week.
Points.
Oh, they're scoring all the time. Yeah.
Hey, Buffalo wins by 34 points tonight. Yeah. No, what's happened to UMass is a disgrace. They should have gone D1, but they're 1AA. They were always in the playoffs. They won a national championship. They were fine. They were great. Everyone was supporting them. And they go to Division I to get paid $2 million from Georgia to go get steamrolled. and no one goes to the games. It's embarrassment. They're losing to 1AA teams or whatever the hell they're called now.
FCS, yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, why did you do this? I don't understand why you did it. It's an embarrassment. UMass had a really good history with football at 1AA, and we're fine with that. And hey, when there's Division I, fantastic, let's do it. And now they have, if I showed up, I have eligibility. They'd be like, you play, we'll take you. Sure, yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot. And it's just like, I don't know. It's embarrassing. It's sad what they've done to the basketball team, and everything with UMass athletics is a joke. It's sad, and it's like the only team I care about, really, if they were to win, I'd cry, is UMass football and basketball. And that's never going to happen. Never going to happen. So what are you going to do?
So you won't be in attendance at the game, right?
No, I got to drive in circles and point at buildings in Boston, sadly. But I would take the 2-hour trek for it. But it's Columbus Day weekend. I'm going to make bank off of tourists.
Do you have a minute to explain what you do on Duck Boat Tours? You don't drive the thing. You've got a microphone and you're entertaining the people. Yeah,
I'm the talker. I point at the buildings. I tell them what they are. I give a little quip, and then we keep on going. And there was just a review. Just a reporter randomly did my tour. It's on Mass Live, and he loved it. And he did a little video. If you look it up on Mass Live on Instagram.
Yeah.
And if you're in Boston, go to Boston Duck Tours. It's fantastic.
All right, awesome, Mike.
You probably wouldn't be coming to Boston for the UMass game this week because it's like 2 hours away. But if you do, give it a shot.
Fair enough. I say this every time. Let's have you on more often. You say yes every time I think to ask you, so I just need to think to ask you more often. Or maybe you should just text me and go, hey, I've got a thing I'd like to talk about, and then we should have you on more is the overall point, Mike. Thank you.
I'm all for it. All right, sounds good, Brad.
Right.
Have a good one.
You too, man.
Right,
enjoy your duck boat tour thing. Mike he's a stand-up comic. It's a perfect daytime gig for a comic to do tours. Be the fun tour guy for tourists in Boston on these duck boats. It's like a bus that can go in the water, too. That's what a duck boat is. But, he's been doing that forever. I've had people, it's like friends of mine, say, I was in Boston and your friend gave me a tour. Because as soon as he hears somebody's from Buffalo, then he starts making connections and realizes. So I've heard that. I've mentioned he's always in the paper and on the news, especially on the news. Whenever there's some story in Boston, what do you think of the Celtics getting eliminated? And it's always just Mike there in a Celtics jersey, Mike O'Brien fan. He does that. He's just always there, and he's always quick, obviously, you can tell. But he worked in Buffalo at GR with us for a few months, a long time ago, and we've just stayed in touch because he's a good dude. All right, I'm going to take a quick time out. We'll be back. More of dissecting what happened in the Bills game last night, where that puts them overall. It's going to be a pretty sports-centric show today, as the way I try to do it. What are you talking about if you're standing in line at a bank? Do people talk at the bank? Where do people stand in line now? You're standing in line at for waiting for coffee? Get a lunch? Lunch? Water cooler. Let's pretend people still go to offices and stand around water coolers and talk. What are people talking about today? They're talking about the fact that the Bills lost to the stinking Patriots. And I'd rather lose to the Patriots than the Jets or Dolphins. I think both of those franchises are in just awful spots. The Pats are at least on the rise. You're going to have to deal with it. Like I said, any input that I have about this game that didn't come directly from me or someone in my house came by text message. And my buddy, who's a couple years older than me, said, I'm going to have to deal with this guy being on the Patriots till I'm in my 70s. Awesome. In Drake May. And that is what it feels like. It feels like that's a real dude. And I don't want to say this is the most confident I've been that a player is legitimate 2 years in, but it's about there. This is Joshy. I'm not prepared to elevate him to that level. But I think, by the end, at the start of next year, when they're ranking quarterbacks, I think he might be in that, the next. I think Josh is in his own tier. But I think there's a good chance that as we're opening the 2026 season, that you're talking about May the same way you talk about Burrow, the same way you talk about Herbert. I won't say Mahomes or Lamar. I think they're different. I've got varying opinions on that. But as far as what's the consensus going to be, I think that is going to be a consensus, one of the best quarterbacks in the league pretty soon. I don't know about right now. I mean, the numbers were very good. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. He didn't absolutely blow you away. But what he did was he made plays. The plays that Josh Allen makes where you go, there's not another quarterback in football that can make them. He was making those type of plays. So that's encouraging if you're a Patriots fan. It turns out I'm not a Patriots fan, and I'm just looking to beat that team every time. So I'm not super encouraged about it. But as of right now, that is a player in the league that I like and enjoy watching. And you can't say the same for the Jets quarterback or certainly the Dolphins quarterback. And I think they've got the right coach, too. So look out. Here come the Patriots. I think slowly. And for as long as Josh Allen is a healthy, viable, as long as he's this player, the Bills will be favored to beat the Patriots every single time they play him. But they become a tough out. So you're just looking to rack up wins. The standings still look great, I'm sure. I haven't looked at them. I'm going to. I'll look during the break here. See how I feel. But it's still fine. Everything's fine. And as I said, right before Mike came on, I abbreviated the statement. But other than that Bengals playoff game and the Ravens regular season game last year, you need to beat the Bills. You need a million things to go right. You need calls to go your way. You need, oh my God, I can't believe there's 1 second left on the clock. Like that kind of stuff. You need that. And then you need some fluky kick to go through, and you need some ball to bounce off somebody's head. And, we recovered the fumble, but his toe was out of bounds. Like, it's a bunch of those things have to happen against the team, and then the Bills are still right there at the end. And we know this. The announcers, again, to praise Tirico and Collinsworth, Bills are getting the ball back with 15 seconds left. Like, this isn't over. They've got no timeouts. It's over. Except it's not over. And it wasn't over until it was. I don't understand the pass over the middle and catching it as time expired. That was weird. It's like the only kind of brain crampy thing that we've seen out of Josh Allen in a while. But just sort of, I don't know, a low pass over the middle where there's zero hope of anything good coming. Maybe he's trying to get a pass interference call. Maybe he thought that was the place that was most likely to have pass interference happen. Maybe that's, I don't know. Comments, we'll do that and then the break. Comments in the chat here on the Mixler app. Monday Morning Blues. I hate when the Bills do this to my soul. Got home at 2 a.m. from the stadium. They got to figure out the traffic situation. I've said this for a while. The main reason I stopped having season tickets was the drive home. Drive in, I can deal with because there's no rush. I'm getting there early. Oh, no, I'm stuck in traffic. What does that mean? I have 12 fewer minutes to tailgate. That's fine. But the game's over, and especially after a loss, I just want to be home. So my thought was I'll get season tickets again once I own a helicopter and can just get myself in and out of Orchard Park. It's the worst part, and especially after a loss. Because that's what I distinctly remember about having season tickets is pregame, we're all friends, right? We're all here for the same thing. We're going to have a couple beers. We're going to fire up the grill. Then we're going to go watch our team beat up the other team. And then when our team doesn't beat up the other team, or even worse, when when the other team beats up our team, or even worse, when it's a slugfest and you wind up on the wrong side, you're thinking you're going to win, and then it crashes down. Like, a whole week of this, we lost, got to wait another week for a game, and now we're cutting each other off in traffic, and nobody wants it. We're not friends anymore. We all have the same shirts on. We're all still wearing blue, or white, as the case may be last night. Those uniforms are terrible. They're awful. If you're going to have a third jersey, at least wear the right colors. Don't be the Cowboys. We're not the Cowboys. There should never be a play where I'm like, yeah, Oh, wait. No, we're not in blue. That's the other team that's in blue. I thought it was us because we're in blue. Even for a split second in my head, there was a play where Diggs caught a ball like sliding across the middle down low, and there was a Bill right on top of him. And as the ball went in, I was like, ooh, interception. No, that's blue is not us. We're this white and gray. We're the Cowboys or the Lions or whatever we were supposed to be yesterday. Those are awful. They look terrible on TV. I saw one in person. It didn't look like a bad shirt. I don't mind it as a shirt. I mind it as the thing that the entire team is wearing for the game. That was awful. I hate that. I even like the red ones. Red's fine. Except when the Bills wore red against the Patriots, and it made the Bills look like the Patriots, and then the Patriots are in white looking like the Bills. And that was confusing. That happened last year or 2 years ago. I hated that too, but no confusion. If we're going to wear red, wear it in a game against the Packers or the Eagles or the Chargers. Someone that doesn't look like the Bills. And the white was bad. You can't see. It just looked like trash. It looked like practice jerseys. I didn't like the helmets, the silver number, none of it. And I'm not like big fashion sports guy. But I know what I don't like when I see it. And that was UConn football last week with just the most bland look of all time. And then they won the game. And then yesterday, the Bills show up in these stupid, I don't know. People are texting me from out of town like, what are the Bills wearing? Why are their numbers silver? I'm like, I don't know. To symbolize snow? It's supposed to look like a blizzard? It just looks like we didn't try. Like we forgot our shirts and had to run to the store and get something so we all match. The whiteout in the stadium looks cool. Although, if I've got a ticket for a game and I own a Bills jersey that I paid $100 or more for, and it's blue, I'm wearing my blue shirt, man. What did I buy it for? So I don't like being told what to wear. But I didn't go, so it's okay. I wore no Bills gear yesterday. Is that my fault? Is it my fault they lost? I don't have to worry about going to a Bills game. This is a message from Jay Miller. I don't have to worry about going to a Bills game. The only way I can afford it is if my son is playing there someday. Yeah. My wife keeps talking about that. Like, well, if we don't go to a game this year, we may never go to a game again. And I have a feeling that at some point we'll work our way into the stadium, but I'm certainly not lining up to buy tickets. All the games are on TV. You don't have to go. They're on TV, and even if you want to be out in a crowd to watch a game, you can go hang out in the parking lot, or you can go to any bar in Western New York, and you can watch the game with a crowd if you'd like to. You don't need to be in attendance. You can see it better on TV anyway. Even when I go to games, I need to watch them on TV afterward. Although I don't know that I would have watched this one again. I'm not watching this one again. I watched it on TV. I didn't like it. Did Russo take some NyQuil during the second quarter? I'll be honest, I don't think I saw Russo once in the game last night. Now, I was watching with 4 people who wouldn't stop talking ever, which is fine. They were into the game. Although Zach eventually wandered off and started watching Breaking Bad. 13-year-old watching Breaking Bad, is that okay? I think yes. It's fine. My wife's like, is that appropriate? I'm like, oh, it's on regular TV. It is about a chemistry teacher cooking crystal meth, but he'll be fine. So I had 3 chatty Cathys. 1 chatty Carol, 1 chatty Drew, 1 chatty Nate, talking throughout the game. So I missed some stuff. I just know I was very uncomfortable. I was very unhappy with the officiating because of the flow of the game in the first half especially. But I didn't notice Russo on the field. Is that bad? That seems bad. He's like 6'7", and I didn't see him. Another message. They said it took them 2 years to design those uniforms. What? Yeah, I think you could do like AI. Make me a bad Bills jersey, and it would come up with that in like 4 seconds. But AI wasn't what it was 2 years ago, so maybe they did. Yeah, it took 2 years of thinking about it and waiting for AI to. It was bad. It was a bad look. I don't like it at all. Russo had a tackle for loss and a sack on the same defensive stand to start the game, then went away. You know what? I missed the first 3 plays of the game, or the first 2 plays of the game, so maybe he was involved there. I was trying to repair a bicycle. I'm so bad at bicycles. My least favorite thing about being a parent is bicycles. Because what kind of loser has to tell his kid, I'm sorry your bike doesn't work, but I don't know how to fix bikes. So this has been Zach's 13, probably got his first bike at like 4. It was like 10 years of me just not knowing how to fix bicycles. I did it yesterday. I think I did okay. On one. When I'm done with the show, I have to go fix another one. But I find out at various times that the kids' bikes don't work. But they don't want to bring it up to me because they know it frustrates me. So it takes a while. They'll just not have a bike for a while because something's wrong with the brakes or the tire keeps going flat or whatever it is. And then I've got to figure it out. So I decided yesterday I'm doing that. That's what led to me missing the beginning of the game. Sitting out there in the dark with a headlamp, fixing a bike. And then somebody came out, like, the game started. I was like, all right, I need 1 more minute on the bike. And then I eventually realized it's not going to be any darker at halftime. So I can just come back out with my headlamp and do it at halftime. Didn't go at halftime. Instead went after the game. That was my last act of being awake after the Bills lost. I got up and said, all right, back to the driveway, put on my headlamp, went out there, fixed the bike, put it away. A minute later, and then I was back in the house and went to sleep and did not read or listen to or watch any coverage of what people are saying about the Bills and the Patriots from last night. Okay, now I'm going to, it's 11. Oh, boy. All right. Are we just going to go straight through? No, I'm going to play a song, and then we'll talk to Scott, because I haven't checked to see if he needs to be late. But normally Scott Wilson joins me at 11. I didn't mean to talk straight through until 11 o'clock. I was about to take a break. Then Mike was there. Then I was going to take a break. Then I started reading comments. Oh, boy. All right. Well, it'll be fine once I find a song to play, which will be, I've been playing the same songs a lot lately, but it's okay. It seems like a lot to me. There's like 60 of them, and I just rotate through. We'll pop some new ones in soon. I'll be right back. Scott Wilson will join me as we continue. It's episode 181 of Writer Radio. The Bills are 4-1, and we'll be all right. This portion of Writer Radio has been deleted for the podcast version. If you want to hear everything that happens, listen live weekdays 10 to noon at writerradio.com.
Let's check in with Writer Radio's senior football correspondent, Scott Wilson.
Yeah, let's do that. Scott Wilson, kind enough to join us, as he does twice a week here on Writer Radio, sometimes more. Occasionally less, but it's always my fault if it's less, because it's me, I don't know, running off to a golf tournament with Henry Rowengartner or whatever. Scott Wilson, did you watch football last night? I did.
Yeah, I did. Yesterday was quite the day from morning till bedtime. It was.
Yeah, why don't you walk me through your day of football, and then obviously we'll wind up at the Bills game, and then eventually we'll get to UB.
It was the Giants giving Spencer Rattler his first ever win, just handing the game over. Up 14-3, everything's fine. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, so that's cool. They lost there, and I was like, okay, that sucks, but that means the season's over. First week of October. We'll see what happens with Dart. That probably means the end of Dable and Shane.
Like now or at the end of the year?
No, the Maras very rarely make moves in season, so I would assume that that's going to be the end, unless there's some type of miraculous turnaround here. It's 5 turnovers. It's tough to lay anything on the defense, but I don't know, man. You're facing Spencer Rattler, and there's like 18 first-round picks on that defensive line. I'd like him to be put down. And he just never is. He never was. It was a very frustrating afternoon. Things were fine. We were up 14-3, and then my wife came into the room, so I ended up blaming her for the loss.
That makes sense.
She just threw it off. She threw off the whole equilibrium. Everything was going fine.
Well, she's not even rooting for your team, right? She's a Jets fan?
No, she'll root for the team. She's all right.
All right, she didn't do it on purpose.
Right. No.
That's good.
But there was a point in the third quarter where I said, I want you to leave, right? I know that we're about to have lunch, but I really would like you to eat it in a different room. And that didn't work. that didn't work out. So, that was sad. That was sad. I still like what I saw for the most part out of Dart.
That's what I was just about to ask you, because that's really the big picture thing. I mean, you don't have any delusions of Super Bowl this year or anything like that, so you're thinking future. And Dart's numbers look pretty good. I know the 2 interceptions aren't great, but they got off to a good start with him. You've got a quarterback who can get you out to a 14-3 lead, throwing for 2 touchdowns on a pair of 4-minute, 8-play drives. That's good.
Yeah. I liked the fumble that he had was bad. He was running around scrambling and then went to turn upfield and just kind of lost grip of the ball as he was trying to maneuver through traffic. It's not like he got hit or anything.
Yeah,
that's a rookie type of mistake, and that play actually reminded me something that we would have seen first year Josh Allen.
100%. I didn't even see it, and as you're describing it, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So I'm okay with some of the rookie mistakes with him. I mean, one of his interceptions was scrambling right, throwing down the field, and just really an incredible play of recovering ground by the safety to get over and intercepted the ball at the 5-yard line. So it really was like an arm punt, and we've seen that out of Josh at times too, where I was like, all right, that's a pick. That's I can deal with that.
That was a staple of early Josh.
Right. They're pinned deep now, and fine. I'm supposed to have a defense with all these studs on it. The other interception was a slant route where the receiver just stopped running his route, and Kool-Aid McKinstry just kept running the same route. And it was, I mean, it's going to go down as a pick, but it absolutely has nothing to do with Dart in that situation. I liked the way he played. I really liked the way he was kind of controlling. It's hard to explain this. When guys would make bad plays on the offense, it was very obvious that he was annoyed and that he was letting them know. And I like that a lot. I don't know if that's going to be good long term, but it makes me feel, as a fan, it makes me feel good that he's just as pissed as I am. So I can relate there. But I mean, guys dropping passes, and he would just kind of look at them as they walked back to the huddle and shake his head like, bro, you please catch the ball.
Yeah.
What are we doing? I'm out here trying to do everything. Please catch the ball. And the whole game shifted. He threw a 60-yard bomb to Slayton. Slayton lays out for it, drops the ball. Tough catch, but he's paid to be a ball catcher. Catch him.
Yeah.
And he dropped the ball. And then, all right, so now it's 14-10, 14-13. I think it was 14-13. Right before the half, Giants start getting on a drive. Dart's moving him down in the 2-minute drill. Hits Slayton again. Slayton fumbles the ball near midfield, and it ends up as the Saints getting a field goal and taking the lead into halftime, and the Giants never recovered from that. So, yes, Dart had 3 turnovers in that game, 2 of which weren't really the 2 picks I'm fine with, and it was Slayton fumbling the football that really changed things. Scadaboo had a big fumble too when they were driving. So he was moving the offense. The offense looks much better. It looks a lot better. But that's still not going to save. It's still not. You still got to win games. It's still not going to save Daboll. And this is the Saints game was the one game in this opening stretch of 7 games where you said, well, that has to be a win.
Right. Yeah.
And it was a loss. They already blew the Dallas game. They pulled one out against the Chargers, but they blew an opportunity by playing Russell Wilson against the Chiefs. And now they have, in the next 3 weeks, Eagles, the team that beat the Eagles, and the Broncos, and then the week after that at the Eagles.
Ugh.
So
That's 1-7. Sounds a lot
Right.
like 1-7.
Sounds a lot like 1-7, and it's. I think that with that loss yesterday, that probably is going to be the death knell of this regime, and it's getting to a point where no matter. I like the moves. I like the decisions for the most part. I agree with not paying Saquon Barkley. They're not franchise-wise in a position where they could do that.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley is, if you're hungry and you have little money, you shouldn't be going out there buying cheesecake. Buy a dozen eggs and get yourself a little bit of protein. And Saquon Barkley is a toy at that point of where they were in the rebuild to them, and they couldn't pay him.
Right.
Now, I think you could make a very good argument that giving money to Daniel Jones was bad when it also cost you other players like Xavier McKinney, who has since led the league in interceptions with the Packers. There's some other tertiary players that it would have been nice to have kept, but
it's not
I
about
like
the Barkley
Dable.
thing.
I
Yeah,
like
I'm with you
Shane.
on that.
I like Dable. Like Shane. They're not winning games, so that's a problem.
Yeah, I just checked. As you said, Mara family is not typically inclined to make moves during the regular season, but when we just made the Giants 1-7, I decided to find out when the bye week is. If the bye week was right there, I think there might be a change, but the bye is week 14 for the Giants this year, so I don't. It seems like you're probably right that they're going to just hang out and do what they can. I mean, the season just becomes about Dart and where does he stand, right? I mean, that's the whole thing from here on. I mean, assuming they lose those 3 games, maybe they fix something and turn it around and steal a win in there somewhere, beat Denver. I don't know. But if they're sitting at 1-7, I mean, you check out on the rest of it and just go with, all right, let's see what Dart's got, and let's not just see what he's got, but get him ready for next year. Put him in some situations. And that's probably what you mean by missing an opportunity too, right? Like the opportunity to put him against the Chiefs. If you're planning on him being your guy long term, you're going to want him to have that game under his belt, whether it's a win or a loss this time around. So I don't know. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but it seems like that might be what you're talking about there.
I just meant opportunity to win.
Okay.
I mean, they played well enough to win, and the quarterback was
killed them.
crap, and it killed them, and they still were there to win. And if Dart was in the game and his athleticism and arm, there's a lot that, if you remember back to when Dable was with the Bills,
I do.
There's a lot of stuff that he likes to do over the middle of the field. Well, Russell can't do that because he can't see he can't see the middle of the field. So everything for Russell has always been on the perimeter, or if it is in the middle of the field, it's off of a scramble. Well, Dart can just stand there and deliver over the middle of the field. Like, it opens up half of the playbook when you have somebody that can do that, or even Winston, which I would have liked. I mean, I get the initial idea of sitting Dart. I do. And I like that idea. But, if the alternative is throwing the ball on 4th down up into the stands off the upright, then I would prefer Dart, please.
Yes. Anybody else would be great. Yeah, that's not cool. That's not
so
great.
that ended, and then it immediately transferred from the Giants game into a 13-0 deficit for the Yankees.
Oh yeah, there was that too.
Yeah. It was 2-0. It was 5-0. It was 10-0. It was 12-0. And I was like, oh God. And I remember turning to my son, Jeffrey, who's a big Bills fan, saying, Bud, I got a bad feeling about tonight. This isn't looking good. The things are not looking good.
We're not having a good day here in this household. Yeah, I can see that.
No. And then the Bills game. So, if you really think about it, the Bills have kind of been playing with this type of game for a while.
100%.
And it came through. And my biggest and really only thing that I'm coming away with out of that game, well, 2 things. One, the Bills took a half off and still should have won. And the penalties killed their drives. Turnovers, which they hadn't been doing, killed them. I think if you subtract half the penalties and one of the turnovers, the Bills probably win that game by 10 points. But they didn't happen. And the other thing I come away with is Drake May looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with May. He was facing pressure, but he was able to get out and keep his wits about him. And when he got out of the pocket, looked very good and impressive. I will say Collinsworth pointed it out a couple of times. When the Bills kept him in the pocket and squeezed him, his eyes did come down to the rush. And I thought that's interesting. And I feel like that's going to be something that when they play in Foxborough will be talked about and addressed by the Bills defense, which is I would rather squeeze him. He's good from the pocket too, but I would rather squeeze him into that pocket. And if he stays in there and we can get a little pressure, especially early in the game, his eyes start to come down. So, but I was very impressed with Drake May, and I'm not overly worried about the Bills. Just remove some of the self-inflicted things that they had to deal with, and they still almost won the game despite all of that. So, do you feel like going to go undefeated?
Do you feel like we go into games sometimes where referees have an agenda, like illegal formation on a punt? I don't remember the last time I saw that, and that was at least the second illegal formation, maybe of the same drive, and it never is fully explained, like what was wrong with their formation on the punt. We just keep moving, and then those things are adding up, and there are just weird. Like there was an offensive pass interference call on an RPO where Josh was running one way and then decided to flip the ball because he was stuck. Like, how is there ever pass interference on that? We never saw a replay of it. Like, I'm never a conspiracy guy. I never think but I found myself wondering if Hockey Lee had money on the Pats in the game. And I shouldn't feel that way, but it was just because, I don't know, man. There were so many phantom penalties. And at the end of the game, when you add it all up, it was about even. Like the Bills had maybe 11 penalties for 89 yards, and the Pats had 8 or 9 penalties for 93 yards. So it looks like it's a wash, but the reality is, like you said, the Bills took the first half off. I felt like the officiating absolutely destroyed the first half of the game, and that functions in the same way that like bad weather would, where if I'm the good team, I want the weather to be perfect. And if I'm the good team, I want the officiating to just not get in the way, and it got in the way of the flow. And now we got a 6-3 game between the Bills, who score constantly and also give up points constantly. That tells me the game wasn't being played the right way. And in the second half, I thought it was better, and it got a little more, some calls on the Pats and that sort of thing. But the 9 penalties or 10, whatever it was the Bills took, 11, that doesn't count the 5 or 6 that were declined. It was the flow of the game was so disrupted that I think it gets in the way of the better team. Am I nuts?
No. I mean, I never felt like it was done on purpose.
I didn't either. It crossed my mind.
There was way too many penalties called in that game in total. It just ruined the game a little bit for what was.
I would have turned it off if it wasn't the Bills.
Pretty interesting game.
Yeah, if that was first half of it was Packers Vikings, I would have turned that game off and said I don't care, never mind. I'll try again next week. I'll try again tomorrow night with the NFL. I mean, it was that much of a disaster. One of the things you texted me about multiple times last night was Trey White, and I thought that might be when you said there's 2 things you're taking away. You said it's time to have a conversation about him. I mean, look, he's not here to be the starter. Hairston's here to be the starter. Hairston hasn't gotten on the field yet. I don't know when that's going to happen. They brought him in as a depth guy. I still don't hate him as a depth guy, but what I'm seeing is that they need some help at that position, and hopefully that's Hairston soon.
Hopefully. Trey White's a great dude, and he's been a really good Bill, but it's time to start having the conversation. He's being targeted every week. He is not like he was 4 years ago. It's not the same player, and he's been called for penalties every week as well, I believe. I mean, the penalty at the back of the end zone there by the end of the first half. The throw, I think, to set up that field goal there was him just not dropping and getting depth in the zone. So they were able to get that turkey hole shot.
Yeah.
Up the sideline.
Nice turkey hole. Shout out Jim Kubiak.
Yeah, it just feels like there's a lot of times where I'm seeing everybody get up or seeing a replay of the pass, and 27 is in the vicinity, but not there to make the play. And it's starting to become an issue. It's starting to become noticeable where, okay, against the Saints, I'm fine with him playing. I mean, they can deal with that. If you're talking about winning a Super Bowl, Trey White can't be the starter against the number one wide receiver on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's, there was a number of times where he was opposite of Diggs, and Diggs was just, doing whatever he wanted. There's just a lot of space there. I don't think he has the speed that he used to have anymore. I don't think that he's got like the lateral quickness that he used to have anymore. He's good if he's got to play a quarter. I think that you can put him in there and rotate him in, but the position he's in now is putting too much on his shoulders. He's not good enough to carry that weight anymore.
And I hadn't thought of the Diggs comparison, but these are two guys who were here and were great here, and I think we collectively decided we're shot and it's okay for him to move on. And then we see who's shot and who's not on display yesterday. Obviously, Diggs had a little extra juice coming into this game, and he's nuts. So, it's not surprising at all that he would have that kind of game against the Bills or come with that kind of intensity against the Bills. But trying to stop him with Trey White was not ideal over the course of the night.
How about the apparent NBC character rehab on Diggs last night? Did you not find that a little weird?
I couldn't hear. I had too many people. My kids were talking constantly, so I don't know about this.
So there was a lot of Stephon Diggs, what a leader, finally, showing his maturity and maturing. And even before the game, when they talked to him, saying, how has it been, maturing, and, so you're saying that you've matured a lot. And it's like, he's been in the league 12 years. He's just now maturing. It was 3 months ago. He was on a boat with 3 chicks dangling pink cocaine out in front of him. Like, what? What are we talking about? He's not mature. Doesn't he have 5 kids from 5 different women on the way here?
Well, he's got
this year.
Yeah. Well, that's I had Michael Bryan on, and he was talking about how Cardi B had to talk about how she's okay with the fact that he's somebody else is pregnant by him too, because that's her man. And there's a video of that. He's to me. And this was the question I gave to Mike, who's in Boston. He's a Patriots fan. Like, how are you enjoying the honeymoon phase? I mean, we've done this. He's been married 4 times, and it starts off great 4 times, and then it ends. And, like, the Patriots, they should know that. But, there's a new Diggs is awesome to have on your team. And, it wasn't perfect for the Texans because he got hurt so early. But, he would have probably had a great year for them without an injury. And then this year, once things aren't going so well, then it would start to break up, and then he'd wind up on another team next year. But it is wholly unsurprising. He was a tremendous leader when he came to the Bills until he wasn't. And then he went to the Texans, same thing. He was that way in Minnesota. They loved him. Well, the first time UB played at Minnesota, I remember one of the things that stood out to me from going to Mall of America and going into sporting goods stores was, man, these people really like this guy named Diggs, this receiver named Diggs. And that was, I don't know if it was before or after the miracle, catch from Case Keenum or whatever in the playoff game. But it was
miracle.
He was a big deal until he wasn't, until he was a major problem. Then he was here, and he was a big deal until Josh's star was outshining his, and then he didn't want to be here anymore. And then he went to Houston, and now he's we've seen it before. I didn't know that NBC was treating it as such, but Yeah, no, I get it. He comes in and he's a veteran and he's awesome at what he does until he's not, and then he moves on. So, oh well. Transition. So I want to see if I have this. There's a voicemail that somebody left. Will this work? I'm going to see if I can play the audio of it. Ideally, this will just come through and we'll be fine. Hold on. Is there music playing? There's not. All right, let's see if we can hear this. This is from Larry. He'll tell you that. And I've got a story to tell you anyway.
Hey, Brad. It's Larry from Tonawanda. I was hoping you were going to have some type of extra.
I'm pausing this right now to say he left this message at 8:40 p.m. on Saturday, shortly after the UB Bulls had won their game in overtime over Eastern Michigan. All right, so Larry from Tonawanda, I wanted to say I was hoping you were going to have some type of extra
post game after that crazy game, but I know you are probably busy, so I wanted to just call and leave a message on the line. My daughter took me to the Lord concert in Pittsburgh Friday night, which was crazy and fun, but and I'll have to tell you about that at another time. But on the way home, so I was like, I got to get something out of this. So I went to the Pittsburgh game with her, to the football game, and they destroyed Boston College. And it was her first, big college game, and we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. So on the way home, I had to drive the 4 hours from Pittsburgh, so I put you guys on, and it was awesome. I've always loved listening to sports on the radio ever since I was a kid, listening to Sabre games at night in my bedroom, and it was amazing. The whole ride home, I listened to the whole game, the overtime and everything, and it was just, dude, it was so cool. So I just I had to share it, and I was like, I have nobody to share this with. So, all right, man, thank you, and go Bulls.
Go Bulls is right. So I wanted you to hear that because that's a guy who spent the whole drive listening to our broadcast, which we hung out after the broadcast because we had the Paul Peck celebration. It's birthday month for Paul. You know, like teenage girls or college girls are like, oh, it's my birthday month. That's Paul right now. Paul's just celebrating at every turn.
He's in his birthday era.
It's ridiculous. So Paul turned 60 on Saturday. We knew it in advance. It was going to be a surprise party, but then he wanted to plan his own party. So then it became a non-surprise party. But we had this thing going on after the game, but we also had 17 different things going on during the game. We didn't get him a cake this year, but he was on the scoreboard. They announced him. The crowd stood up and cheered for him. All this stuff for Paul. But while we were talking at the birthday party after the game, I said, I think we do a good job in general, but I really liked our broadcast. And to hear that this guy just drove up listening to it made me happy, and I thought I would share it with you.
Yeah, that's cool. And good game to tune in. That was
There's a lot going
exciting.
On.
Yeah, that's about as exciting and frustrating, but joyful and mystifying, yet also exciting. And it had the whole range of emotions in that game. It was, all right, we're definitely going to win. We are definitely about to lose this game. All right, we're going to overtime. All right, we got this. Oh no, they're going for 2. Never mind, we got it. Yeah, that was a crazy game, but yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that he was able to tune in and listen in and share in the crazy action. Plus, get in a little college football action too. Pitt BC's, you can do worse than that if you're in a town and you end up lucking into a random game. That was, you get a little ACC action, and then the more important MAC game on the way home. That's cool.
So I think the main thing that I remember from talking with you after postgame or at the birthday party is your statement that I have used since. This only happened a day and a half ago, and I've already used this 3 times. But the Bulls are, it was a crazy game. It came down to the last minute. It went to overtime. That's the 4th week in a row that could have gone either way. And you made the point they easily could be sitting at 5-1 right now. However, they also easily could be sitting at 1-5 right now. The good news is those wins have come in conference. That's what matters. And beating Kent barely, beating Eastern Michigan barely, has them at 2-0 and atop the MAC, and that's all that matters when it comes to, big picture of the season for the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, it has been, we talk about the conference in general, but, a lot of the UB games just in general, razor thin margin of error. The only game that was, I'll say comfortable to watch was St. Francis. They had the ball driving to take the lead with 10 minutes to go at Minnesota.
Right.
So, I mean, we're not kind of including that game in there, but that game is in there. That game is in there. And it's one of these wild games that the Bulls have played in. I think it's probably, if we're being 100% honest, the Bulls in those 4 games that we're talking about here, the last 4, in those games, the Bulls have played 2 of those games where they absolutely deserved to win. They played the better game and were better longer. And they are 0-2 in those games.
Right.
And there are 2 games where they probably didn't deserve to win. They didn't play better longer in the game, if that makes sense. And they are 2-0. And luckily for the Bulls, the 2-0 is conference games, and that's what really matters. So take it. You even heard Coach Lembo talking to the team after they put out the clip of him talking to the team after the game, and he was basically saying, "We'll take it. We'll take it. We got a week off. We got a lot of stuff to work on, but if we'll take it. let's just everybody take a breath, and we're all going to go home, and we're going to come back and know that we won this game, but we'll take it."
Yeah.
And that's kind of where they've been at. But we're seeing now throughout the conference that this is going to be the norm. Everybody is good enough to beat everybody, and everybody is good enough to lose to, or bad enough to lose to everybody. The Ohio Bobcats a couple of weeks ago, we talked about them beating and storming the field, and I thought they actually played Ohio State pretty well in the shoe. Like, they hung around. I mean, they eventually got put in their place, but they hung around for a while, and they were there. And they go to Ball State, a team with a new head coach that had lost a lot of players in the portal, basically in a rebuild. They lost their best offensive weapon to Houston in Tanner Koziel, the tight end. And Ball State has basically been pretty bad. And the Cardinals beat them. They were 14 points down. The Bobcats were 2 scores up. So now every team of those top 4 teams that we talk about all the time, Miami, Ohio, UB, Toledo, and the Ohio Bobcats, have all blown 2-score games in the second half.
Yeah.
All of them. And this one is a big one because the Bulls did it against Troy, and that stinks, but Troy's not in the conference. So in the end, it doesn't really mean that much. And here we go. The Bobcats now, they trail the Bulls by a game, no matter how it's looked so far. The Bulls got a game up on their one of, if not the biggest rival that they have in the Ohio Bobcats that's coming up the last week of the season. If the Bulls right now are in a position where if they win out, they're going to Detroit. I know that's simplified. Like,
you
go undefeated.
Yeah,
if you go undefeated in the conference, you're going to go to Detroit.
Right, but
I'm just saying
you
they
control
already
your
have
own
a game
destiny.
up on Toledo and Ohio now.
Yeah.
They are in the top 2, and they are in a really good spot. So, it hasn't been aesthetically pretty or what we have expected when we have gone into those 2 games in Kent and Eastern Michigan, but they still found a way to have one more play than the other team. And we didn't talk about it because of the craziness at the time. Eastern Michigan had a game where their coaching staff didn't overthink things and didn't go pass happy. and they just ran the ball and gave the ball to their two best players on offense, which are the two running backs. And then they go for two, and it's the first time all game where they overthought things. Do you not agree that the way that game had been going and how tired the Bulls defense was, that if they had not hand the ball off to that huge running back Dunlop going downhill, that he was not going to get 3 yards?
Yeah, I was thrilled to see it in the quarterback's hand.
Right,
and then
right. And they try to do a
out of it.
shovel pass to a tight end. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful decision. But, the Bulls had one more play left in them. They ended up getting a 50-yard field goal to tie it at the buzzer. And, just enough. And that's all that matters.
I liked the decision. I thought it was right because it scared me.
To go for two was the right decision.
Yeah, yes. I mean, we talk about this a lot, but I kind of judge if you're making the right decision on what the other team would like. And I didn't want them to go for two because that, to me, was their chance to win the game. I think you play another series. The Bulls are the better team. Give me another chance to prove that I'm better. That was the better the opportunity to win the game was right there for Creighton. So it scared me, and that is what I think makes it the right call. The play call wasn't great. The execution was awful, and the Bulls come away with the win. But I think it was the right move by Chris Creighton in that situation. Looking at I know what I was going to say. The way you're talking about, if the Bulls win out, they're going to go to Detroit, and of course that's true. But I think the right way maybe to talk about it is to say it's that golf analogy where they say you can't win a tournament on Thursday, but you can lose one on Thursday. Dropping a game to Kent State, starting 0-2, they very easily could be 0-2 against Kent and Eastern Michigan, and they would have lost the conference on Thursday in the golf tournament analogy. Instead, they have plugged ahead. They're one of two 2-0 teams. There are two 1-0 teams. Everybody else in the conference has a loss. You got 13 teams there, and only 4 haven't lost a game yet. You got 4 1-1 teams, 4 0-1 teams, and an 0-2. But two 2-0s, UB and Western Michigan. And one of those 0-1 teams is UMass, who's sitting at 0-5 and shouldn't be a problem. But we've said shouldn't be a problem about Kent, and we've said shouldn't be a problem about Eastern. And they were both problems. They're both wins, but they're both problems. Is UMass a problem? They shouldn't be a problem, right? We'll just keep saying it. Shouldn't be a problem.
I mean, theoretically,
right?
Shouldn't be a problem. They are in the middle of another rebuild and new coaching staff and trying to get things going and pouring more money into their program starting here this year. But they've had a rough start and rough go of it. But I haven't seen them play. I don't know anything about them yet. I would imagine that we can't say that anymore. I feel like we have lost the right to say this should be no problem just because of what has happened here.
Everything's a problem. Everything's a problem.
Right.
Solvable. It's always a solvable problem, but it's a problem.
Right. That's not just the Bulls. That's everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the Bobcats had very similar conversations to us going into that Ball State game. This shouldn't be a problem.
Yep.
And up 14-0, probably felt like this was not going to be a problem. And then all of a sudden, it was a very big problem. It got to be a big problem very late, and they couldn't come back. So yeah, it's a road game. It feels like Kent State and Eastern both approached this game against UB like this was going to be the season for them, right? Didn't it kind of feel like that?
Absolutely.
We took the best punch that both of those two teams had and still won. So I'm just hoping that we can eventually play well and run into a team that's not bringing a haymaker
to
the contest here one of these times. I'll tell you one thing I would like to come up with a way to convince Taquan Roberson in the first quarter that we're down by 14 and there's 5 minutes left. Because, man, when things look bleak, he locks in and looks amazing. It's what we said to start the season. When things got intense in some of these scrimmages, he was awesome. And we've seen that here basically bore out when things were tough and it looked like the Bulls were in big trouble. He's been great. And it's one of the reasons why the Troy game stinks, is because if he was healthy, I feel like once that got tight, he would have been able to make plays to finish that one out. But when they needed him, he was not good that first half. Second half, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we've seen some of this with, pitchers where they'll have rough first innings and then the rest of the game be lights out and shut down and, trying to figure out the right recipe, whether it be how they're warming up or something to get that thing started again. Even, we've talked about Josh Allen a bunch. Josh had that situation where didn't he change his pregame music because he was getting too amped up?
I don't know about this.
Games.
That sounds like something he would do.
I feel like I read a story about where he changed his pregame music to like Sinatra or
no, Sinatra is right. That's the part that I do remember is hearing about Sinatra. So
because he was listening to other music and he was getting so amped up before the game that it was like
I could see
it was affecting the game. So he started listening to a little bit more mellow things that got him a little bit more centered than jacked up.
Well, I will say, looking at him sitting on the sideline, looking at him right now, you could pause and be like, is this guy winning by 20 or losing by 20? And you'd have no idea because it looks exactly the same all the time. And that's a part of his maturity. So if Frank Sinatra has something to do with it, then here's to you, old blue eyes. That's fantastic. Good. If he can get into that place, that's cool. I heard someone, I don't even remember who was talking or to whom they were referring, but it was a similar thing about what you're saying about Roberson. They said he's the kind of guy that to get him going, he's got to taste his own blood in it. He's a fighter who's got to taste his own blood in his mouth. Like,
right. Okay,
once he's got that, he's just like, oh yeah, here we go. And that is, you described it from scrimmages, and then we're seeing it play out that is Roberson's MO. It's not like come out, march down the field, and kick you in the face right away. It's, we got adversity. Oh, I'm good at adversity, and go from there. So I like that, blood in the mouth.
Yeah, no, I like that too. He settled in. This is a great time for a bye week for the Bulls.
Yep.
I mean, they desperately need it. They have a lot of big names banged up. They played really physical games. They've got a lot of big names that need to be rested back up. One of them being Roberson. Like, it was pretty clear that we did not see him as active in the run game as we had hoped, and I think probably some of that has to do with the leg ankle thing that he's been dealing with since Troy. I again liked what Jason Wright did when he came in, freshman. He was running nice, but just some of the other big injuries that they've got. Deion Crawford is banged up. He didn't play most of the second half. You look. Some of the wear and tear that the guys along that defensive line with him have taken, the number of snaps that like Red has already taken to be able to, have him put his feet up for a little bit. Gathings played this week, but still didn't look as fresh as he did to start the year. Chance Morrow had that big game against Kent, then got banged up against Troy. He hasn't really come back since that Troy game. He's nursing injuries. The running backs, luckily the Bulls have a ton of talent there. The running backs are all banged up. Alge banged up. Sperling got banged up. They really could have used Sperling last week.
100%. Get the ball to the outside. They couldn't do it.
Yeah,
they didn't
want to the outside.
They didn't try. I don't know. Took a while.
They didn't try as much as we expected, but he's one of those guys that can bounce it out there and look good. And, Birch, he's still hurt. There's Tim at the middle. And there is one other interesting thing that we probably, that this bye week will help with the Bulls, which is I wonder if they're not going to have a conversation about moving Doty from right tackle back into guard.
like they did late in the game.
Because they did that in overtime, and it's probably not a coincidence that LJ ripped off a run up the middle immediately in that overtime to get them into the red zone. If they can find somebody else at right tackle, I think that to me is probably the question. Can we find somebody else that they feel comfortable and can rely on out there at right tackle to be able to move him back into guard? Because he's an all-MAC player. Like, he's a first-team all-MAC guard. And I get he has the ability and the athletic ability to move out to right tackle and to protect out there, but you're also losing that reliable inside run game that he can provide. So I wonder if that's not going to be on the table to at least be discussed.
Well, especially in a bye week. You got 2 weeks to try to figure stuff out. I mean. Yeah, that
right.
Totally
if
makes
that's
sense.
Not going to be. And even if it's, hey, do we have a package where we can kind of come out of the huddle and it just kind of that switch just kind of happens? Much like you would bring in a different running back for a different situation.
Yeah.
Like, do we maybe have a package where we can switch things around and put him in the middle for a couple of plays, or maybe start a drive so that the other team might not notice it? Where, oh, yeah, no, he's in the game, and oh no, he's back at guard. Again, I don't know, but if you have the bye week, I wonder if that's something that they don't toy around with.
Yeah.
It was pretty obvious, though, that in certain spots, they definitely missed their starting center in the middle of some of those run plays.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I love that idea. That's creative. I've never heard of it, but like even before you said it, we were kind of thinking along the same lines. And I was wondering, again, I was going to bring it up, but then I thought you might think I was crazy. Who's to say you can't just surprise them, come out of the huddle and surprise them with, oh, why is he there? Oh, like, you might get a timeout out of it. You might also just get successful runs out of it. When you bring in somebody for a wildcat package, that's not crazy. They bring in Jason Wright. You got a pretty good idea he's going to run, but you still got to stop it. And if you have the ability to catch somebody by surprise, all the prep that these people put in, week in and week out, getting ready for games, all the film, all the tendencies, if you just start throwing that kind of wrinkle in, I think that would be a very interesting, creative way to play football, is to move linemen around. Nobody does that. That's just, it's interesting. That's a fun idea that I'd like to see pursued over the course of the next 2 weeks. Do we know anybody over there we could talk to? Throw some ideas in? Is there an ideas meeting we can partake in? There's
a suggestion box just outside of the stadium.
All right, yeah, that's perfect. we can use that thing. All right, man. We will we'll talk to you later in the week. We don't have to do we probably won't do a UB podcast this week. Maybe we will. I don't know. We'll see. Might as well.
It's all up in the air. You never know.
That's
why you got to keep tuned in. You never know.
That's right. But we'll talk to you Friday for sure, because we do know that. All right. Thanks, Scott.
All right. See you.
That's it. Scott Wilson, kind enough to join us on Rider Radio twice a week, typically. Plus, we do the UB football podcast on the UB Bulls insider feed. Plus, we do football games. But we don't have a football game this week. So does that mean I talk to Scott even less? Like, we already subtract out the game, and then we'll subtract out the pod. We should do the podcast. We'll still do the podcast. And we'll definitely talk to Scott on Friday, because that's what we do. All right, so thanks to Scott. Thanks to Michael Bryan for joining me earlier in the show. Let's do a song, quick timeout, and then come back to wrap things up on this episode 181 of Rider Radio. Thanks for tuning in, sharing. Oh, I'm supposed to tell people to subscribe, as I get like notifications from Spotify. I get notifications from YouTube. The Mixler thing, that's just kind of our method for getting the audio out there. Although I'd prefer if you subscribe on there too. But subscribing to the podcast on Spotify is very helpful. So, we always say everyone on podcasts or show, it's all you ever hear. Like and subscribe and share and comment and review. 5-star reviews are good. Anything you can do. If you're tuning in on a regular basis to this show, please help it grow. I'll keep doing the show for you if you could just do a couple little things for me. And that just means little clicks of buttons. Say nice things. Spread the word, like word of mouth too. But like online, you see something, don't just like it, share it. Don't just listen to it, subscribe to it. Doesn't mean you have to listen to every minute of every show. It just adds to the numbers, which then not even tricks, but convinces Spotify or YouTube, like, hey, we should probably show this to more people who are like these people that are doing, and then it just grows from there. So it's like it's an organic thing, but you have to make sure that the people who are listening are doing the things to help the thing work. I don't want to ask too much of you. I appreciate that you tune in, that you found it, and that you're doing everything you're doing is awesome. But if you could do it a little tiny bit more, that would be helpful to me. So, like, oh, I watch on YouTube, so who cares about Spotify? No, just go subscribe on Spotify. Unless you don't use it, then don't. But subscribe on whatever you use for podcasts, even if you never use that app to listen to the podcast because you already heard it because you heard the live show. Does that make sense? Anywhere that you click yes, Writer Radio is good, is a positive for me. So, yes, I subscribe because it's good. Yes, I subscribe on YouTube because it's good. Yes, I like it. Yes, I hit a thumbs up on this thing, or I make a comment, or get the conversation going, or jump in when somebody else has a comment. Anything you do around the show it's just a positive for the growth of the whole thing. So I got a notification the other day from Spotify saying, like, the numbers that I'm getting do not match up. The numbers of people that are listening, downloading, tuning in, whatever you want to say, streaming, the number of people doing it do not match up with the number of subscribers. Typically, there would be like 3 times the subscribers for the traffic that I have, which tells me I'm just not saying to subscribe enough. So please subscribe. Certainly on Spotify, but also on YouTube, which I think is the main driver of growth, is the YouTube feed. But do both. It would be super helpful. I appreciate it. And also listen live and comment during the show and use the voicemail number. It's at 716-288-5246. I almost always forget to get to the voicemails. The reason I knew to get to the voicemail is, so yesterday, this will surprise no one, baseball season ended, okay? Fall ball baseball season ended, which sounds like, oh, good. I don't have to spend every minute at a baseball diamond. I love it, but I can use a break. So we had 2 games on Friday night, one for each of the kids. We had a 6 o'clock game. We had an 8 o'clock game. We walked away after that at 10:15. Said, okay, done with house baseball till May. Basketball's about to start. Registration just happened. It's about to happen for the full league. It already happened for board members. So we're already in. The kids are going to play basketball. That'll start we'll start practicing in a month or a little bit more than that. Maybe 2 months. But registration, so basketball's happening, and that fills time between baseball. But baseball ended Friday, and what did I do yesterday? Went to 2 different baseball games. Scrimmages. These are travel scrimmages. So we had one in Lancaster for the little guy, and then finish that one and drive from there and hustle back to our place for the middle guy. Look at the little guy, Drew, the middle guy, Nate. Drew had a scrimmage. They lost, but they were playing a team older than them. And then Nate had a scrimmage, and they lost, but they were playing a team older than them. All in all, went well. Although Nate's hurt, so he didn't play. He's got purple fingers from diving back into a base on Friday night, so he can't grip a bat right now. But it's okay because it's October 6th, and the baseball season starts in late April, early May. So I think his fingers will be fine by then. X-rays are negative. He'll be fine. But he sat out the game, but we still went anyway. He's got his uniform on. He still supports the team. Hung out in the dugout like he was an assistant coach or something. It was cool. What was the point of this? 2 baseball games. Oh, so after the baseball game, I've got 2 hungry kids in the car because we had to leave at 8 o'clock in the morning to get to the 9 o'clock. No, it was earlier. 7:30 in the morning to get to the 9 o'clock game in Lancaster. And then there's a noon game. Now it's 2:15. Nobody's eaten anything since 7:30 in the morning. So the kids wanted to go for lunch. I said, yeah, sure. So we stopped, and we're at like a burger place. It's like outdoor. I can just tell you it's Checkers, I guess. We went to Checkers, and there's no restaurant. It's like a walk-up, I don't know, what do you call that? Booth? It's not a booth. Window. It's a window. It's called a window. You order at a window, and you go sit down, and you come back to the window to get your food. And I was walking back from the table to the window, and I hear the phone ringing somewhere. Somewhere in the distance, a phone is ringing. And then I realize it doesn't seem that distant. It's my pocket. It's in my pocket. There's a phone ringing. And not ringing like someone's calling me, ringing like I'm calling someone. So I pull out my phone, I look, and yes, I did pocket dial someone somehow. No idea how it happened. It's just I didn't touch it, but it just happened. And I don't even recognize the number. Who am I calling with this phone number? I have no idea. And as I'm trying to figure out who it is, I hear, hello? Hello? And I go, hi, I called you by mistake. I don't know who you are. I didn't mean to do this. My phone just called. The guy's like, oh, no problem. And then I couldn't just get off the phone. I'm like, wait, who is this? He's like, this is Larry. He goes, is this Brad Ryder? And I said, yes. Yes, it is. He's like, oh, I called your Google Voice thing last night. So it's something to do with Larry called and left the voicemail. That's how I got his number. And then my phone, I don't know why it decided to call him from my pocket. But he's, oh, yeah, I left you a voicemail. Hopefully you can listen to that. And I said, oh, yeah, cool. And that's why we got to hear that on the show. So I'm not suggesting that you leave me a voicemail at 716-288-5246 and then expect me to call you back and chat. It's mostly just for you to leave the voicemail and then we can play it on the show. But that's how it worked out for Larry yesterday. I just ended up calling Larry. We talked for a minute. And I said, you know what? I will listen. And then once I listened, I said, you know what? I'm going to use that to transition from talking about football, NFL football, to college football when I have Scott Wilson on. So we got to hear Larry, who listened to our whole game, the whole UB game on the radio or on the Varsity app while driving up from Pittsburgh to Western New York and loved the game. It was a very exciting game. And Paul's birthday party was very good, too. You know what I wanted to talk to Scott about and forgot is Mike Tirico's call of that guy getting the football and then running up into the tunnel. Because I thought that was just fantastic broadcasting. And I'm not just saying this because we hung out with Mike the night before at Paul Peck's birthday party. Mike Tirico and Paul Peck were college roommates at Syracuse. And so we've had multiple occasions where the timing works out, where we have to be somewhere and Mike has to be somewhere, and we just get together and we get to ride Paul's coattails and hang out with Tirico. So after the, as part of Paul Peck birthday month, we, celebrated him on the pregame show all the way throughout the game, probably mentioned it on the postgame show, and then we went to his birthday party, and Tirico was there because he's in town and he's Paul's friend, and so that was cool. And he's anytime we've dealt with him, I mean, he's awesome. And he's a tremendous broadcaster. But I thought his decision to just run with treating the guy running up the stairs like he was actually involved in the game. It was Ed Oliver. And then Josh Allen was blocking for him. Like, all of it was just perfect. That's the audio I should have pulled for the show. Maybe I will. I think I might want that audio as part of the show from here on out. But I didn't have it for today because, like I said, I wanted to consume nothing at all from a media standpoint after the Bills lost that game. And so hopefully I said some things today that you didn't hear elsewhere. If you did hear them elsewhere, that just means somebody else is thinking like me, because I got no ideas from anybody but me. It's like, okay, game's over, go to bed, get up in the morning, talk about it. And that's what we went with. And the show's over. I'll play music, but I'm not coming back after the music unless something crazy happens. We're done with episode 181. It'll all be available, minus the music, as a podcast shortly. I finish the show. I edit the music out. I post it on Spotify. That puts it on YouTube. It all works great. So subscribe. Subscribe is the word. Subscribe is the word of the day to the Spotify feed, the YouTube feed, Mixlr, mixlr.com. This is where we broadcast the audio version live. Oh, it still says voice of Scott Wilson on my screen. It doesn't matter. The show's ending. All right. I'm going to wrap it up. Hit a song or two. Call it a day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, which is Tuesday, on Writer Radio.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're going to go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
I don't know. Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
You get out of here, Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?